We really believe that there is a great market out there for healthier eating, for a healthier lifestyle. We know that American parents, including a lot of the people who work at this school, are working longer and harder hours than ever before. That's why almost half the American food dollar today is spent eating out, and an increasing percentage of that dollar in the so-called fast food places.
Hi, and welcome back. Dr. Kim, before the break, you mentioned that we are being exposed to 40,000 ads per year. What's the impact of something like that?
Very serious. Children cannot distinguish information from advertisement. So especially young children under the age of 10 cannot really distinguish that this is selling something or they are teaching something.
So you're saying a child doesn't know when the show's ended and the ad has begun?
That's correct. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So they are programmed without protection. I don't know whether this is a good analogy, but when an adult even though it's a consensual, have a sex with a minor, we call it a rape.
Right.
I wouldn't hesitate a moment to call this a rape.
Because we're talking about defenseless children.
That's correct.
They can't protect themselves.
These young minds are programmed to serve the commercial purposes of these huge food companies.
Right. And Dr. Kim, it's not just TV shows, right? I mean, we're seeing this whole new generation of children doesn't know life without computers, without Game Boys.
They spend so much time in front of this.
How much time?
4 hours on the average in front of TV.
Per day.
Per day. It's wrong to believe that we have no time for exercise. They are spending 4 hours a day in front of TV, and you cannot say you have no time.
Well, when you think about 4 hours, I'm thinking it must be after school when they come home,
yeah,
or in the evenings, I suppose.
That's correct.
And I would think too that the way parents are stretched now, you've got both parents working, money's tight, that TV probably operates as something of a babysitter for kids these days.
Cheaper babysitter, yeah, compared with taking them to athletic activities. This is safer and then cheaper. Right. So I can understand that, but I'd like to point out at the same time the problems associated with that.
There's a huge impact from that.
Yeah, and then another serious problem with a lot of TV watching is they snack more while watching TV.
Right, so they're eating more.
Yeah.
And they're probably reaching for things that contain the fructose and the palm oil.
Yeah, and salty foods, salty snacks.
Right.
And then at the same time they are constantly being stimulated with this advertisement. So screen time, how much time you spend in front of TV and computer has a direct consequence on obesity.
Undoubtedly, that makes complete sense. So when we think about, the parent's perspective, because obviously computers play a role as being educational as well. There's reasons for kids to be on the computer. Parents are stretched. How do we, as parents, do something about this with our children? How do we control their time without having a massive rebellion on our hands?
We all know that we parents these days are very reluctant or less willing to confront children.
Right, and why is that, Dr. Kim?
I think it's a social trend.
Right.
So we are less confronting.
So less boundaries
and then
for our children?
Yeah, for the last 50 years, so-called child psychology led us to believe that we should not confront them, we should not discipline them. So basically, what we are looking at is a generation of overindulgence with a lot of freedoms, a lot more freedoms than we had when we were children.
Right.
So if they exercise their freedom in what kind of food they eat, and how much they eat, when they eat, so we see a problem here.
So Dr. Kim, you said 4 hours a day is what children are generally spending in front of the television or the computer. So what can we as parents do to cut back on the amount of time that they're in front of the screen?
We should reduce our TV watching time ourselves.
So maybe set a different role model for them.
And then what I usually recommend is absolutely no TV on Saturday morning.
I can't even imagine the screams you'd hear in most households if you tried to pass that.
It's very difficult because as parents, we are less willing to confront the conflict with the children these days.
So you're not talking just about television, you're talking about generally.
Especially the conflict regarding TV watching is the most serious conflict, they say, that exists in the family.
So parents are just kind of stepping back and letting their children do what they do.
Yeah, and these days there has been a debate. I think it's a very, very foolish debate. Is it okay to put a TV in children's rooms?
And what do you think about that, Dr. Kim?
Absolutely no.
Yeah, I can tell before you answer the question.
So that's not good. So we should do at least reduce our own TV watching time. And then absolutely no TV on Saturday morning.
That's going to make a big difference if you can get that passed in your household.
That's some difference. I don't know whether it's enough, but the obvious fact is that we spend too much time. Ourselves, adults, we spend too much time in front of TV. And then
we set that example.
Yeah, and then the children also spend too much time, and that leads to obesity.
And you said before, 4 hours a day, and we're saying we have no time. We have no time to exercise. That's what we hear from adults all the time.
Yeah, and the 4 hours you're spending in front of TV, and you say...
Suddenly you have 4 hours to go out for a run or go play some tennis or whatever.
But again, let me point out that it's easier said than done.
Absolutely. Well, we have a lot of statistics that reflect exactly what you just said. So, Dr. Kim, we talked about so many different things that lead to obesity. We talked about some of these new ingredients in our food. We've talked about a whole wide topic of things. So what are some other ways that we can feel more empowered? What are some things that we can do generally to combat this obesity, which is clearly getting out of control?
We believe that parents should be more involved. And then there are so many myths. We should change our way of thinking on certain things. For example, people think if parents start using more influence, they are afraid that children are likely to get anorexia or bulimia.
That's going to be the backlash.
That's what they say. But we know that these two diseases, like anorexia and bulimia, even though they're very serious, this is a very rare diseases.
How rare?
Very rare. 1 or 2 out of 100,000. And then it is limited to white and affluent classes.
So clearly not impacting the population as a whole.
And that they can afford to see specialists, and that there are actually very good, effective drugs against it. So because of this distant and rare possibilities of these rare diseases, parents do not exercise their influence over what children eat and how much they eat. It's absolute nonsense. We have the statistics that demonstrates that the more parents exercise their influence, the healthier the children's eating habit, and as a consequence, fewer cases of obesity.
So you think parents just don't want to be a nag? They don't want to hassle their children? Feel like they're hemming them in and taking away their
that's not good.
Creative opportunity or what have you?
That's not good.
So, Dr. Kim, don't we as these biological bodies know when we're full?
That's another myth. Unless we are taught, not many people know what is full.
So we don't know when to stop eating, generally, is
That's
what you're
correct.
saying.
So if especially children are programmed to eat a lot of food for the rest of their lives, they don't know what it is to be full. So they keep on eating.
Is there any way that we can overcome that?
The best thing is not to start that wrong idea of being full. Actually, once you have that habit, it's very, very difficult to change it.
So you're saying, for new parents, start out on the right foot. Now, what about for parents who have kids who are already in these processes, doing this?
One study that is quite frightening is once children reach the age of 10, it's too late. What that study says is that before the age of 8 and 9, that's the moment where our parents' influence or our nagging or whatever. But after 10, they say it's too late.
So you've got to get them in that window. You've got to be able to be a parent that's interacting with your child in a way that you can work with them and helping to educate them differently.
That's correct.
So you're saying that we don't know when we're full, and we hold back on hassling our children because we want to be tolerant and give them all these freedoms. What about our school system? I mean, surely when kids are going to school, they're having an opportunity to run around the field, and isn't that helping?
So, parents believe, or want to believe, that when we send our children to school, the school will take care of these physical activities. But you know, see what happens in California. They removed most of the budget for physical education. And then school, on the other hand, they want to believe that these physical activities are taken care of by parents. So
it's the ultimate pass the buck syndrome then.
That's correct.
Parents think the schools are doing it, the schools think parents are doing it.
And then the parents should be more involved in physical activities and cafeteria activities in school. So we cannot really pass the buck to school anymore.
Right, because what are cafeterias serving, by the way? What kind of food do they serve?
Oh, it's nice to know that there are some changes these days, but mostly highly unhealthful foods. French fries, pizzas,
so fast food,
soft drinks.
Right.
These fast food chains quite successfully made an inroads in the cafeterias of the public school system. Of course, you know, the key word there is again customer loyalty.
Right.
They should start earlier, but the problem is they are successful there.
Right. Yeah, they're making money, so it's working.
And then the children become accustomed.
Right.
Accustomed to this fast food, and they grew up with a wrong idea of what the right food is.
Well, and I was just going to ask the question, and you're just segueing into that. Don't we naturally know what we should eat?
We are supposed to.
Yeah. Don't we crave what our body is actually requiring?
But if we are bombarded with these wrong foods, since when we are very young, that natural ability to choose or to crave for the right food, that ability itself is weakened.
Right. So the program is set from when we're a child. So we can no longer know that actually right now I'm low in a particular nutrient and I need to eat broccoli or I'll crave broccoli.
For example, such high calorie food and then meat. This highly saturated fat. There are studies that say that once people begin to taste those foods, they keep on craving for that.
So you set a tone.
So that kind of proves what I just mentioned, that we may be losing our own ability to crave for what we need.
What naturally we need.
We are going against that natural protection we have.
Is there any role in here for artificial sweeteners?
Artificial sweeteners are actually, they're just artificial, and then quite contrary to what we believe, that's a very unhealthful product. So
it's not actually going to benefit us if we're cutting out our high fructose corn syrup and replacing it with Splenda or one of these other sweeteners.
It is not a substitute for sugar. It is not a substitute of high fructose. It's just another food additive.
It's just fooling our taste buds then.
It is very unhealthy.
So that's not the answer. Okay, so we want the answers. We want to know what we can do differently. Give us some ideas. How can we start to take the power back and start to become, in the driver's seat of this issue? What can we do, Dr. Kim?
I should mention again, the parents should get more involved.
So get involved. If you're a parent, you're watching this, get more involved.
And then parents should be more involved in the physical activities themselves.
So become that role model.
There's a definite statistical correlation between the obesity of parents and obesity of children.
Definitely. That makes sense.
So physical activities, that just runs through the generations. And then eating habit should be changed definitely. What I would really like to emphasize here is we should do more home cooking. For example, 2 weeks of eating outside leads to extra 2 pounds. Americans these days eat, you can say 40% of their time outside. That's way too much. And because of this industrial and commercial competitions, when we eat outside, we're exposed to a lot higher calories. So eating at home more often is one of the key things we can do.
Right. So with some planning, because again, people are going to make the argument, I have no time, so turn off your television, sit down and meal plan.
And then when mothers begin to cook more often, they themselves become more conscious of what health food should be.
Right, right. So I'm curious, we see oftentimes on packaging fortified with vitamins and minerals. And what's the deal with that? Is that something important to consider?
I think this marketing. So they fortified vitamins, very, very minor amount.
Right.
Yeah, ignorably minor amount. But that allows the company to make health claims.
Right.
So just because they added the minor amount of vitamins, they can say, this food has this is health benefits, while at the same time they are shoveling sugars and fructose in the same food.
Right.
So
it's kind of the bait and switch. Look over here and get excited about the fortified, but what you're not really understanding is how much high fructose corn syrup, etc., is in this product.
So whenever I read this health claims, something fortified, I kind of laugh at them.
Right.
It's not
right. It doesn't pan out, is what you're saying. It doesn't hold water.
It's not right.
Yeah. What about dietary supplements?
Some dietary supplements are very good. Some dietary supplements are dangerous.
Right. How do we distinguish between?
For example, we are exposed to such advertisements like 10 pounds in 3 weeks type of advertisement of dietary supplements.
Right.
That's not right. One criteria I would recommend every parent when they are considering using dietary supplement for their children. When normal people take this dietary supplement,
normal weight
people take this dietary supplement, do they still lose weight? If yes, that's something dangerous.
That's not something to do then. It's not a good drug.
Safety.
Safety above all.
Yeah. And then we are talking about the body of children.
Right.
And then in relation to dietary supplement, I'd like to mention the benefit of green tea. Green tea seems to be one of the most safe but quite effective help
I've heard this.
For children to lose weight.
Right. Well, I've heard a lot of women talking about starting to add green tea to their diet and noticing that they're actually shedding 5-10 pounds over a few months.
Yeah, and then it contains a lot of antioxidants and a lot of vitamins.
Right.
So green tea, I recommend every parent.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. Kim, Halloween.
Yeah.
What do we do about Halloween?
Birthday parties.
Yeah.
Halloween.
Christmas.
These kind of sugar blasting occasions.
Sugar blasting. Sounds apt.
Sugar blasting is a medical term, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's very descriptive.
Yeah. And then Halloween, they have studied the aftermath of Halloween. They usually collect candies good enough for 2 years. And they consume them.
Right.
We should stop right away.
Yeah.
Sending children out on Halloween days. That's not right.
So I think Dr. Kim, you're going to have your hands full trying to boycott Halloween. I completely understand the benefit to us to do something like that.
But I have been saying that it's easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
If somebody asks, Dr. Kim, are you doing, or just saying everything you just said, no, I cannot say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I think the most important point you make in all of this is that we need to change the way we think about things.
That's correct.
Yeah. Because it's so easy for us to go to sleep on the whole issue, frankly. We're all tired, we're all overworked, everybody is busy. We come home, we want to lie on the couch and turn on the television. So Dr. Kim, you're telling us that we have an option here. We need to get up off the couch, role model for our children differently, become involved in their lives. What can we do about creating community and education with other parents, possibly?
That's correct.
Talk to the schools, see if we can't lobby for healthier food in the cafeterias.
It's quite encouraging to see that it's happening.
Right.
So it's not really at the end of the story here.
Right, exactly. I think what we're all looking for is a quick fix. We all want that instant pill, which is probably why diets are so incredibly successful now. We've seen the emergence of so many fad diets lately. But what you're talking about here is very homegrown, down-to-earth common sense, which unfortunately isn't all that common.
Yeah, and then my point is we should start our rethinking early.
Right.
Starting from baby formula.
Right. All the new parents that are watching, start now. Something you said to me too, tighten your waistband while you're eating.
Oh yeah, that's something people ignore. We can reduce the amount of food people take if they have the habit of tightening the belts when they eat. Just something like that. Something as easy.
So it's not complex, it's not rocket science.
Yeah.
But it's another tool.
Yeah, so it's something cute, but it's proven. Yeah. So before go to a meal, just tighten your belt a little bit. It reduces the food amount you take every meal. It
makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. So Dr. Kim, thank you so much for being here today. We've covered a lot of ground. This can seem like a very daunting topic, and it certainly affects a very high percentage of the population. But there are things that we can do, and it's not a quick fix. We're not giving people a miracle answer here, but we need to change the way that we think about our relationship to food, to our children, to our communities. So I appreciate, again, thank you for being my guest.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.